we are ready to play. Let's make this a fun-filled day. Missy and Shannon are here to show you how we make toys. Are you ready now? Let's play!
Welcome everyone. Today we have a special guest, Jirik, and she is a speech language pathologist. She's here today to give us some really good tips about how to promote speech and language skills in early talkers or late talkers.
Hi.
Welcome, Kim. Hi.
Thanks so much for having me. I would like to just share a couple of ideas with you on ways to help our early talkers and our late talkers. And one of the quickest and easiest strategies that I share with teachers and caregivers, parents all the time, is when we come across objects, whether they're real objects or whether they're pictures of objects, I always encourage adults to give it a name, to give it a sound, and to give it a gesture whenever you can, because fire truck is a very difficult thing to say. However, almost all toddler boys are going to really enjoy playing with fire trucks, and they're going to be really interested in them. So what I would tell them is, this is a fire truck, and the fire truck goes woo woo. So I give it a gesture and I give it a sound, because most little children will say the sound and imitate the gesture, sometimes both at the same time, long before they're going to be able to say fire truck. Some other examples of that would be children really like animals. So the elephant. Elephant is a 3-syllable word. It's got difficult sounds in it. It's going to be hard for children to say. But if we can give them a gesture and give it a sound, often children will imitate our gesture and our vocalization, and that will be their name for the elephant until they're phonetically ready to say the word elephant. Some other examples are the duck, and I just do quack quack. And I remind parents, this isn't about teaching you sign language per se. It's really just come up with a gesture that makes sense for you, because it's a lot easier to remember if you've come up with the gesture on your own. Also, a kitty, and I just make whiskers for the kitty. Meow, meow, says the kitty. And again, when your child vocalizes or uses a gesture, we start to count those into their expressive vocabulary. Those are their first words, even if that word isn't kitty or duck or fire truck. Any kind of verbal or visual representation of that is their first word, or can be counted as some of their words. Another one that children really enjoy is bubbles, and so I like to blow the bubbles, get their interest, say bubbles. Also pop, 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 pop. A lot of the little ones will make a gesture for bubbles before they're able to say bubbles, and sometimes even go pop, pop, pop for popping the bubbles. Another idea I'd like to share with you is that with most toddlers, if we ask the toddler, can you say, we will either get no, or we'll get no, or they just will not do what we're trying to encourage. So instead of asking a question, if we can gently encourage them by using the keyword say. So either using the child's name, like Joey, say woo woo, or say woo woo. So we haven't asked Joey to, can you say woo woo? We've cued them, prompted them, and said, say woo-woo, and we're much more likely to get something from using just that simple change in questioning versus commands. One last thing I'd like to share is a strategy that not only helps make the target word easier for children, but also is the best early way to help shape speech production, is by putting our emphasis on vowel sounds in words. Most of the time in our culture, we focus on consonant sounds and we focus on letter sounds or letter names. And what I'd like you to focus on is actually the vowels, because they're the easiest productions for children, and they happen to carry most of the meaning. So if children haven't yet mastered all of the consonant sounds we'd like them to, but they produce some really nice vowels, then listeners are going to be able to understand what they're trying to say. So my example with my fire truck is I could say woo 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 woo, or I can hold out that ooh woo woo. So I'm giving the child a much simpler production of that by extending that vowel sound. Some children will leave off the W and it'll be ooh, but most listeners would say, wow, they're trying to make that siren noise, and that can be their first name of a fire truck, a police car, or an ambulance, is just doing that ooh. It also helps kids with inflection and intonation, because what you'll find is that whatever the adult does with that vowel, the child almost always imitates back. So another example would be airplane. Ah. So I could just hold this up and say ah, or I can say ah, and the child almost always will say ah. So we have this prolongation, we have some inflection and intonation, so we're teaching the child so much more than the vowel ah, and we're making that such an easy target that it will really encourage them to give that a try. The other thing about holding out our vowels is words are going to get much more difficult for kids, multi-syllable words for instance, so I wanted to show you how that will help as we move into two-syllable words like teddy. So instead of just teddy, I would say teddy, and really hold out those vowels, because the child often is going to leave off some of the consonant sounds in the word, and we might get day for teddy. And so by holding out the vowels, it slows us down, slows the child down, and often helps us get those middle sounds like teddy instead of just teddy. So those are just a few strategies that I wanted to share with you so that we can get all of these little ones talking a little bit sooner.
Oh, what great information. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful to all of you out there. Thanks so much, Kim, for coming and sharing some easy tips on how to get kids rolling with their speech and language. See you next time.
Bye.